Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited because my Hourglass holiday palettes are here. This is always such a highly anticipated new launch. So this is the Lighting Edit Unlocked. I have the leopard and the jellyfish. So I ordered directly from the Hourglass website so you can customize your palette. There are 4 different artwork options and then 3 different color combinations for the inside. And I purchased the 2 palettes that came with the most new shades. There's also an owl and a snake. All 4 palettes are absolutely beautiful, and the inside powders are really beautiful this year as well. I just went through my collection because I want to do some comparisons, and this is the 5th year in a row I have collected these palettes. I think I'm always tempted to skip it, but then I get FOMO, so this time around I purchased 2. Of course, I'm going to unbox, swatch, and demonstrate these 2 palettes, and then I'm going to swatch my old palettes as well, and hopefully that will help you decide whether or not this is worth adding to your collection this year. The artist who designed the palettes, Katie Scott, did an incredible job. I also really loved the snake and the owl. I believe the owl is going to be an Hourglass exclusive. And it makes me so happy Hourglass is continuing to bring us animal designs because it fits with the brand so perfectly. This year and last year's palettes are by far my favorites in terms of the exterior packaging. For the first time, each color story includes all the essentials: a finishing powder, blush, bronzer, and highlighter to create a glowing complexion in one sleek palette. The preset palettes will be available globally at Sephora starting September 22nd. My immediate first impression after opening these palettes was that the color stories are so beautiful this year. I was pleasantly surprised. Right after I ordered, I thought, oh, should I have done that? Should I have just missed out? I just spent a lot of money at Chanel, but then I looked at them and they are really beautiful. This is the palette that a lot of people are saying is the lightest palette or best for fair to light skin. But I don't know, I think that deep kind of plummy blush in there would work for medium tan skin. Each of the palettes has a pretty nice range in the skin tones they will work for. Now we do have a price increase this year. The palettes used to retail for $80. This year they are $90, a $10 price hike. Knife to the heart, I know. 5% of the proceeds does go to a nonprofit organization, so you can feel good about that. I've always thought of these palettes as being a pretty good value. I think that's what's kept me collecting them every single year because they're really versatile. You can use them on the eyes and the face. You get pretty decent sizes, 6 powders per palette. As long as you love all of the shades and it's something you will truly use, I still think at $90, it's a pretty decent buy. In this palette, we have Diffused Light Finishing Powder, Rose Fusion Blush, Opal Strobe Light Metallic Strobe Powder, this looks so pretty, Lunar Bronze Bronzer, Diffused Heat Blush, and Ethereal Light Finishing Powder. Now this is the palette with the deepest powders. This should work really nicely for deeper skin tones, medium, tan. It reminds me of Sunset. These colors are so beautiful. It's a very sensual, sexy date night palette. It comes with Radiant Light Finishing Powder, Coral Haze Blush, Infinite Strobe Light Metallic Strobe Powder, Sunbeam Blush, Mystic Flush Blush, and Solar Bronze Bronzer. I scooted in nice and close so I can finish my makeup for the day. I already had my makeup done earlier and then I just washed my face. I don't have a ton on the eyes, and then I redid my base, but no powders. And I'm starting with palette number 1. This is the lightest palette, and I don't want to confuse anybody, but on the website, this is the jellyfish palette. So when this palette gets to Sephora, it will be in the jellyfish packaging, not the leopard packaging. This is only because I customized it. The Opal Strobe Powder is new, this blush is new, and the bronzer is new. So these are the 3 new shades in this palette. So I'm actually not going to go in with this. I'm going to go in with the top. This is more of a berry blush. I'm going to be light-handed. I've learned my lesson with the berry blushes. You have to go light. Now, the great thing about the Hourglass powders is the formula. They do not look heavy on the skin. They go in nice and light, diffused, so it's almost as if you're not wearing anything. Now that is pretty. It looks pretty berry in the pan, but it actually goes on pretty pink, which I love. Oh, I love that. I'm gonna build it up a little bit. Yeah, now that is a pretty berry blush. Ooh, I love it. And it has that really faint sheen to it. So it's not a shimmer, it's not highlighter, but it just looks like glowing, healthy skin. That's why people love the Hourglass powders. I love it. Such a pretty color. Next, I'm going in with the Lunar Bronze. This is a new bronzer shade. The bronzer shades are kind of hit or miss for me in all of my Hourglass palettes. Sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. I think the reason I'm drawn to these palettes is the powders and the blushes. And then if the bronzer works for my skin tone, then that's just a cherry on top. But I don't know if I have a palette that I love the bronzer. It is pretty light. It's light, but it's not too light. I don't know if you can tell on my chest, I sunless tanned for the past few days, so I have a lot of color to my skin, and this is kind of perfect. You can probably tell by my hands. I did a terrible job tanning my hand. This is gonna look funny for a minute when we just have the one side done. I think I really like the bronzer as well. It seems to look really nice on my forehead. That's where I can really tell. We might as well try all of the new shades. I have another clean brush and I'm gonna go into this Opal Strobe Powder. Ooh. Ooh, yes, that is really pretty. I love it. I don't even know what shade I would call that. It's kind of a taupey color, but I love how it reflects light and it just looks like the cheek is wet. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the blush on a brush and I'm just going to use this on the eye just to see. I want to tie the look together. I'm just using this to blend right on top of what I already had. I'm also going to pick up a little strobe powder and I'm going to use this to highlight the brow. I had a cleaning accident the other day. It was over the weekend on Labor Day. I was cleaning out my closet and out of nowhere, a box from one of the high-up shelves fell down and the corner hit my eye. And I swear I thought I was going to have a black eye, and I kind of do. So under here you can't see because I have my concealer on, but this is black and blue, and I even have a little gash right here. It's slowly starting to heal, but it definitely hurts. I have to be really careful when I apply any pressure or any makeup right there. I honestly shouldn't be applying any makeup. But you know, the show must go on. We're getting into holiday season and products need to be reviewed. The dangers of cleaning out your closet. The last thing I'm going to do on this side before we move on to the other palette is I am just going to pick up a little bit of this finishing powder and I am just going to kind of set. I already set the under eye a while ago. I didn't use much powder. I'm pretty sure diffused light is in the majority of the palettes I already have. This is one of those kind of go-to powders. Most people really like it. Very initial review. I really like this palette. I love the shades. It is very light. It's actually a bit lighter on the face than it looks in the palette, in the pan. I don't know why. I guess this berry blush is a little bit intimidating, but it actually goes on very nice and light. You could build it up if you wanted to, but I'm happy with this. I don't want to get too crazy on this side. I want to wait to balance things out when we go in with the darker palette, but I really like it. The only palette I didn't pick up is the middle palette, and that is the leopard palette. So when it's preset, it's going to come in the leopard packaging. It has dim light, celestial strobe light, mood exposure, lustrous bronze light, ethereal flush, and iridescent rose. It looks like the only new shade is ethereal flush, which is a blush. It looks really pretty, and honestly, when I saw the powder swatches, there are tons of images floating around, but if you look at just the powder swatches, the second palette is actually the one that draws my attention the most, and I thought that would be really pretty. However, I probably have something very similar, a very similar combination, or all of these shades already between my other palettes. So I decided to skip this one. You only get one new blush, so I have a feeling this is probably not going to be very popular, except maybe for first timers. Overall, I still really love this palette. It just depends on your collection. Next, I'm dipping into my Sunrise of a palette. So this is the third and deepest option, and on the website, this is the Snake palette. The finishing powder is the only existing shade, and then everything else is new. I already know I need to be light-handed, but I think I'm gonna start up at the top. I love the look of both of these blushes, or actually all three of the blushes. This is actually really pretty. It's kind of a rose gold. Okay, maybe I'm gonna start down here. It's kind of a pretty rose gold coral. I just love the marbled effect. Anytime I see that swirl, I think it looks so pretty. See, that's pretty light. I'm dipping more into the top up here. Ooh, yeah, this side is much more cool and this side is much warmer, but I love it. I love this blush. Wow, I think it's the corner shade that I love so much, but actually, I don't know, because I dipped into that deeper color. Now you can build it up. I'm gonna stop here and see, I don't think this looks too dark. Man, maybe I applied a little bit too much, but the shade itself is not all that intimidating. I love it. This is a beautiful summery palette to me. I think the previous palette, this is giving me fall or fall transition, and this is more summer, which is my style of makeup. So I love it. I'm gonna dip into this bronzer and see what happens. Hopefully it won't be too dark. No, it's not. But it does look a little bit cooler. I kind of thought it looked like a cooler bronze. Considering how warm everything else is, the bronze has more of a coolish, neutral brown undertone versus the other side, which is a little bit warmer. Yeah, I think this is maybe a little bit light yellowy bronze, and this is almost maybe a bit of a reddish undertone bronze, which I'm pretty sure I have an Hourglass palette with something similar. Maybe 2 years ago, I think the bronzer was a little bit more red. I'm tempted to try the finishing powder. I don't know if that's going to be too dark or what. Let me just try it a little bit and see what happens. It's fine. Nothing terrible happened. So this finishing powder still kind of works. It's giving a little bit of a gold sheen to the skin. I don't love that. I think this would probably be best as a highlighter, maybe a body highlighter, something for the shoulders, the neck, chest, décolleté, because it's going to cancel out the brightness that I like beneath my eye. Not terrible, but it also has maybe a little bit too much sheen. I don't want to look sweaty, and it can sometimes not make the pores look great in that area. So this finishing powder I'll probably use as a highlighter. I do want to dip into the highlighter as well. Again, I think this is going to be a little bit too dark for me. It looks very gold. I feel like this will look better on the body. Really beams, yikes. It's not bad, it's just very bronze, deep. I think this will look really pretty again on the shoulders. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side that I did on the other side. So I'm picking up a little bit of this rose gold blush and I'm going to dust that in the eye, just to tie the look together. It's one of my favorite things to do, especially if I take these palettes traveling, and that's generally when I pull out these palettes, is if I'm traveling or I have a trip somewhere. You can use it as eyeshadow as well as face powders. Now that face is done, I feel like I need powder. I'm looking very glowy from all of these powders, which I know is the point of Hourglass. This is maybe a little bit too much shine. And then I'm gonna throw on a lip and we can compare sides. But I really like this side as well. I'm back and this is the finished makeup look. The only thing I did over at the vanity was touch up my powder because I needed a little shine control just in the center points of the face, a little bit over here, a little bit on the chin, and then I did throw on a lip. I figured we should go with Hourglass. Of course, this is the Unlocked lipstick in shade Alpine 304. It's a really pretty, kind of warm peachy nude, and I think it works really nicely with both sides of the makeup. After applying the first palette, I honestly thought nothing could top it. I just love this berry blush so much. I think it looks really pretty and pink on the cheek. I think this side looks very fresh. I think it's a nice transition into fall palette because you do have the deeper blush shades in there. So this I'm really loving. If I had to choose a favorite, I don't know why, for some reason, I am leaning towards the deeper palette, which I'm shocked. I did not expect for these colors to really even work that great on me. I was fully prepared to bite the bullet and have this palette just be way too dark on me. I was tempted by the 5 new shades, but no, they absolutely work. And I think they look really nice. I think it goes with my summery makeup vibe that I really love to wear. I may not be able to use the powders for their intended use, like the finishing powder I'll use as a highlighter, the highlighter I'll probably use as an eyeshadow, but the blushes work, and I think even the bronzer works, and I think it looks really nice. These powders are so soft, so blendable, but you tell me, which side do you think looks best? Or do you think there's a huge difference between them? I honestly think the difference is pretty minimal. I can certainly tell that I used different shades on each side, but I don't know, when I look in the big mirror, my makeup doesn't look crazy considering I used 2 different palettes on half of my face. I like them both. I'm so happy with my purchase. Both of these palettes work for me. I don't know which one I'm gonna take with me on a trip we have coming up. I might take them both just for fun since we're driving. I don't have to worry about packing a small case. I'm not really shocked that I love both of these palettes. I think Hourglass products in general, and especially these palettes, are kind of a safe bet. They're always going to be really good. The only reason I sort of second guess myself every single year and I debate whether or not to purchase is because I already have quite a few of them and I really find myself grabbing these only when I travel. Now, every single time I travel, I take one of these palettes with me, but that's just not that often. I don't live that jet setter lifestyle like I wish I did. I'm gonna swatch all of my palettes and see which one is closest to these palettes. Here are swatches from the previous 4 years, and if I learned anything at all from today's video, it's that next year I need to trust my gut and go ahead and skip this launch, at least for a year or two, because as much as I love these palettes, and I really do, there isn't a huge difference between the shades. Once you find a palette that works best for your undertones, stick with it and don't worry about the rest. I know the holidays are right around the corner. The holiday makeup launches keep rolling in one after the other, and you are probably going to be bombarded with pictures and videos and beautiful images of these palettes, but I implore you to ask yourself, is this something that you will still be using 6 months from now, 9 months from now? Are you going to be happy that you made this purchase a year from now when nobody is talking about this palette? If the answer is yes, then I say go for it. They're beautiful. If now doesn't feel like the right time and you're sort of sitting on the fence, it's okay to wait. There will be another Ambient Unlocked collection next year. Be smart, watch lots of reviews, make the best decision for you, and whatever you do, do not succumb to any pressure. It's beautiful makeup, but you probably already have a lot of beautiful makeup, and I just don't like to see anybody pushing themselves financially to keep up with the Joneses on YouTube. But that completes today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this review and you found it helpful. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Leave me your comments, questions down below. If you're picking up any of these palettes, let me know which one down below in the comment section. As always, I will be linking everything mentioned. Everything on my face will be listed down below in the description box for your convenience. And for more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell.